Good evening and welcome to the iGPFun Super Formula Lights League. Round 4 of the championship takes us to the Hungaroring outside the Hungarian capital of Budapest. I'm Tom Cairns in the commentary position. Alongside me is Dean Biggles, who will bring into the booth very, very shortly. But before we go into the session, let's run down on the latest championship standings. 3 wins from 3 sees Tony Jimenez top the table with 129 points, 7 clear over Luca Ferrani. Then it's Emre Tashi in 3rd place, had a Maxim Victus in 4th, Robert Ridgway in 5th, followed by Bahin Ayan in 6th place, who's tied on points with Simon Fessi. Denny Cornu is in 8th on 97th, while Loris Baylor and Ludwig Ranson rounding out the top 10. Adam Talsma and Austin Baldwin are tied on 81 points apiece in 11th and 12th, followed by Johnny Casola and Oscar Osananu. Eddie Amos in 15th place over Scott Taylor and Thibaut Rabiar. Ben Goya is in 18th place on 64 points, followed by Carlos Ferro and Andy Flint. Rounding out the top 20 there, Andy Flint on 57 points. Then we've got the likes of Amal Yunus, Giovanni Solito as well, just above him, and Guyan in 23rd, followed by Sean Pulsver and Richard Van Veen. Paul Distelli, Dorian Arroyo, Jakub Olszewski, Stefan Dodderer, Thomas Ridgian, Matthew Gracie, Kenzie Newhoff, Stefano Finassi, Mohamed Balig, John McKenzie and Alex Agurido. It's Andrei Vizkovsky and Elia Vujli, the next of those to have scored points so far. A rundown on the calendar for this season. It's the second season of 2025 in this championship. We've been to Suzuka, then to Portimao and Road America. Tonight, it's at the Hungaroring in Hungary. We go to Motegi in Japan, followed by Hockenheim to round off the April action. Then it's off to Australia, down under at Phillip Island. Nürburgring in Germany head to afterwards, followed by Magny-Cours and Silverstone. And we round off the season in Bathurst in Mount Panorama at Spa. And the final round of the season will be at Spa on the 8th of June. There is a Formula Given event post-season to look forward to as well. We're coming into the closing minutes of this qualifying session, and so far it's Jesper Sandström who is fastest. But let's bring Dean Biggles into the studio, who's waiting patiently to be speaking to us. Hello, Dean. How are you, sir?
Good evening, good morning, good evening wherever you are in the world. Of course, welcome to some fantastic racing and iGPFun. It's a lot of fun, and we are at Hungaroring. It's not going to be raining when it usually generally would be here in Hungary at certain times of the year, but at the moment, one man going super strong there, Jesper, on top of the timesheets at the moment there by about 2/10 over Tony Jimenez, so that's going to be interesting between these drivers. Welcome one, welcome all, and say good day out there in the chat too. We don't bite much.
Do get involved in the live chat if you ever so wish to do. Do say hello, let us know how you've been getting on this weekend. For those of you in Britain, I'm sure the kids have broken up for the Easter holidays. It is Good Friday next week, so that must mean they are on their Easter break. 19 degrees air temperature, 27 degrees track temperature here at Hungaroring, with Jesper Sandström the fastest so far on a 1:31.9, followed by Tony Jimenez in second on 1:32.1, and it's Jakub Olszewski in 3rd place on a 1:32.2. Drivers are trying to improve in the closing minutes, but what are you looking out for, Dean? Because Hungaroring is typically not the best track to overtake. I'm going to be brutally honest with you on that, but hopefully we'll see some cracking action as the race goes on. For those for being brief, the drivers, that is, just to take note on the first lap, no active overtakes until the exit of turn 5, which is the right-hander before the chicane of 6 and 7.
Yeah, it's going to be difficult to overtake, but it's also going to be survival as well too. It's a long race, so it's going to be punishing on tyres as well too in this track. You've got to take it easy. How are you going to pan out your situation with the gas? Everything like that's going to come into play here. As you can see, the grid is pretty quick. You've got a second in the top 20. So it's going to be tight, and of course, as you mentioned, overtaking is going to be pretty difficult, especially when you're looking at drivers all averaging around a similar lap time. But of course, it's all survival, isn't it, the first couple of laps, because you can make or break your race that quickly.
I couldn't agree more. The checker flag is out now. Sandström is still top of the timing pages. He is a very fast driver indeed from what we've seen from him last season. Tony Jimenez took pole in the last 2. Maxim Victus, on his debut in this championship, was able to snap pole position at Suzuka.
Yeah,
Well, he's not going to take pole this time around, is Tony Jimenez. He is on worn tyres by this point. Andy Flynn is on a lap. He went green in sector 1, orange in sector 2, so I don't know for certain whether he is actually going to improve on this time. 5th fastest overall is Andy Flynn, 20th in the championship. Coming into this round, he exits the last corner and will head over the line, hopefully for an improvement in time at least, and he doesn't actually improve his time. He remains in 5th position, and we've just seen the remainder of the field heading over the line to round off the session there. Jesper Sandström going over the line. I think he did improve his time ever so slightly, but he stays in P1, but has stretched the margin over the others. We've just seen the likes of Sean Pulsver heading over or on circuit as we speak. At the moment we are focusing on, who's that in picture there? That must be Sherry, Leonard O'Sherry. In 34th position, nearly 2 seconds off the pace. But as you've rightly mentioned, Dean, the gaps are very, very close between the whole field. We've got 42 drivers to have set lap times, plus Harry Saston, who has been out on track in this qualifying session but hasn't quite set a lap time. We don't know for certain whether he will take the start here.
There's about four drivers actually left on track there, but it's interesting. They're not going to have enough time if they just started a lap. We're seeing at the moment the number 55 there of Leonard Cherry. See if he can just get it home in time. It's very difficult to see if it's going to collapse. You've got 15 or so seconds before the qualifying session will be done and dusted. You see the checker flags out, so if you're on a lap, that's it. If there's enough time to get it, he's got the final little hairpins, really. This is consecutive turns. You've got 2 sweeping left, so it just gets tighter and tighter, and then you're going to roll your way around the right hand side, hug up to the fence, like which is the pit lane entrance coming up here, like your favorite grandma Martin Brundle would say. There, get just almost on the apex, get on the loud pedal, and you get the shortest path if you can, swing it right over to the right hand side, because he's not going to be doing another lap. Let's see if he improves, and he will not, and that is the end of our qualifying session.
That is the end of qualifying. Jesper Sandström taking his first pole position of the season. He'll be hoping to emulate that into the race win. Let's run down on today's grid. Jesper Sandström on pole ahead of the championship leader Tony Jimenez alongside. It's Jakub Owsiewski in 3rd and Luca Ferrari making up the 4th row, followed by Andy Flint and Simon Fessi on row 3, with Nicholas Vessen and Younes Amal on row 4. Then it's an old French, row 5, with Ludovic Ranson and Denis Cornu rounding out the top 10, followed by Rob Ridgway and Maxim Victus, Stefan Dodra and Thomas Region in 13th and 14th, followed by Clark Williams and Mohamed Brolig on row 8. Then it's Andrei Wojciechowski in 16th and 17th, behind Iron on the 9th row as well. Krish Patel and Kuji Ito rounding out the top 20, followed by Mehmet Tashki and Eddie Amos in 21st and 22nd, and Guyan and Johnny Cazzola in 23rd and 24th. John McKenzie and Loris Baylor on the 13th row of the grid, followed by Richard Van Veen and Adrian Pescari. Rounding out the top 30 are Adam Talsma and Elliot Yingling. Scott Taylor and Scott Haddock are 31st and 32nd on the 16th row of the grid, followed by Paul Distelli and Leonard O'Sherry. Austin Baldwin and Oscar Artinano are alongside each other on the 18th row of the grid, followed by Matthew Gracie and Mike Ulch. Dorian Arroyo and Luis Albino in 39th and 40th. Then it's Chris Fales and Sean Pulsver on the 21st row of the grid, with Harry Saston and Manuel Vargas running out the 44 drivers on the grid. There are a number of drivers waiting to take the start. Just very quickly, Dean, what are you looking out for in today's race? What are you thinking? Who do you think will make the best of starts here? Because there's no active overtakes for the first 5 corners.
Yeah, exactly. Well, Jesper's going to be one to look out for. He's in the golden position. You've got to run it down into turn 1, but and make it stick, because it's a tight hairpin to your right hand. One of the overtaken opportunities, of course, but do you risk it for the biscuit? It's a stacked grid so much that these drivers around the corner at the back can't even see the start-finish lights, of course, but thankfully in the virtual world, they will get that green flag call ahead, which is what we're going to get almost right now.
Wait for the drivers heading onto the grid then. We are raring to go for the start here at Hungaroring. We've got 1 light, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Green. Lights are on. Lights are off. It's go. It looks like Jesper Sandström moved across before the lights went green, but we are underway here at the Hungaroring. It's a fine start from Jakub Owsiewski from 3rd place on the grid, and he's going to lead down into turn number 1, the right-hander. So Owsiewski in front, ahead of Sandström and Jimenez, who are having to tuck in behind. We don't know for certain whether there was any drivers moving before the lights had gone out, but for now we'll focus on what it is for the time being. No active overtakes, as I've already mentioned, until the exit of turn number 5, but Owsiewski getting onto the best of the start. And it's Sandström, Jimenez, Ferrari's in 4th place. We've got Flynn, Fessi, Vestman, Amal, Ranson and Cornu running out the top 10 so far.
Yeah, it was just a bad launch from Tony Jimenez. That's the thing at the moment. He just couldn't quite get it off there, bogged down a little bit. That's the reason why he sacrificed a couple of places as well, too, as Jesper is... Jacob's in the lead of this one currently at the moment, so I'm not quite sure what happened there, but the Polish driver has taken Jesper and taken the lead of this race on lap 1.
Nicely done there from Jakub Olszewski. He hasn't had the best of fortune so far this season, but he hopes to make up for it here as we continue on halfway round the first lap here of this Hungaroring course. 30 laps it will be, no mandatory pit stops involved. It is essentially a sprint to the flag, and what a start it has been from Jakub so far. We've just seen an overtake. They are allowed to overtake now. There is Nicholas Vestman, who looked to go for a move on Simon Fessi into turn number 12, but it didn't quite come off there. Fessi maintains 6th position for the time being. The drivers are settling into the race now as we end lap number 1 with Olszewski in front, Sandstrom second. It's Jimenez, Ferroni, Flint, Fessi, Vestman, Amel, Ranson and Cornu rounding out the top 10 so far. The biggest gainers so far are Leonard O'Sherry, who's made up 3 positions from 34th to 31st. And we've just seen a change from the lead. Dean Sandstrom going back through on Olszewski.
He's got it. Somebody's also had an accident in the back there. That's Luca. Luca off. Luca is in combined as well, too. I think that's a Simon Fessi. Simon Fessi's missing on a whole rear wing on that car, and that's going to drop him back like the 2025 stock exchange. I was going to say at the moment. So it's got to get back into pit road. I think Luca's pretty damaged up as well too, but as the rest of the field are going to navigate there through. But yes, but back in the lead.
He's got a punch here, has Luca Ferroni from contact with Simon Fessi. We'll get a replay to find out exactly what happened between those two. It did happen at turn number 1. Here is a replay then. This is Luca Ferroni, and we expect Simon Fessi to go for a move on him into turn number 1. Further up ahead, we just saw Sandstrom take back the lead, and on Susi, and Luca Ferroni just came from way too far back, sent one up the inside and just used Ferroni as a brake.
Yeah, we're going to see if we can get another little replay for that one. This is Simon Fessi here real quick, because there is some action brewing up, of course, on the track there, and that's just bang. That's Simon Fessi that just came in and bat out a gate and didn't realise that you need to hit the brake pedal.
Yeah, the engine cover came off Fessi's car, not just the rear wing, so that's a really bizarre incident there. Stefan Dodro, we were just seeing, is already in the pits. I think he's just come back out again, has the Dutchman, but he's way down the field. Anyway, looking for Runner, will go back in the pits. We're going to see what happened to Stefan Dodro, and I think he's probably had a spin into the barrier. Yeah, he's got on the curve, spinning the car around, and he's going to hit the unforgiving wall, which is very unforgivable there for Stefan Dodro. Back in the race now anyway, but he is way down the order, and it's unlikely he'll score good points from there.
Yes, the survival attrition. There you go. Currently, in the moment, positions all gained from majority of the field, at least in the P26 places, up to P26, of course, because those drivers are dropping outside that P26 position. They've coupled the go on the pit roads, aka Simon Vessi and Luca have gone down and get some damage repaired. Further back in the field there, the Brazilian injury of Wasowski, I think, there for Andre, making some gains up here in P15, trying to get past Bahayden, I think they're in the 89 machine just up the road. Yes, it is. Yeah, it is Bahayden Ayan running in 14th position. He's had a reasonable start to the season. There's Ayan, 6th position in the championship with 99 points to his name, 30 off the lead, so he could mathematically come away with the championship lead by the end of it, but there's a long way to go so far. Simon Fessi and Luca Ferroni are both back in the pits, and it's effectively race over for them unless we have an attrition of drivers pulling out of this one, ended up in incidents of their own. Chris Fales and Scott Haddock towards the back of the field having their own squabble, but other than that, not too much else is changing within the field. So Sancho is back into the lead by overtaking of Suzuki into turn number 1. It's Tony Jimenez in 3rd place, Andy Flint up to 4th now as a consequence of Fessi and Ferrani's mishaps. Nicholas Vesterman, 5th, had a Eunice Amel. Then it's the 2 Frenchmen of Ludwig Ranson and Denny Cornu in 7th and 8th, followed by Roger Bridgeway and Maxim Vinces, the 2 Americans running out the top 10. That's the Unity team in Unity here, line of stern there at the moment, as you can see with those liveries. Further back in the field there, that is that battle with Andre and Krish, the Krish Patel. Going for it tooth and nail here. This is, as you said, overtaking opportunities aren't exactly the easiest around here in Hungaroring, but when sees the opportunity, if Gap car do it, and early days, lap 4. Yeah, so Vince Koski defending from Patel for 15th position. There is Patel looking to find the gap, but there isn't quite one so far. We've got
Tasky, who I think has dropped down the order, but that's because Johnny Casola has got through ahead of him. Casola is up 6 positions now from where he has started. Not too bad of a start from him. We want to be higher up the order. We are kind of used to see him towards the front end, I think, a little bit. There goes Tasky's going. He's got through on Casola into the chicane of turn number 6. That is sweet as you like from Tasky. He's gone up a place at the expense of Casola. There's Eddie Amos in that really colourful machine there. Yeah, I was almost going to say turquoise, but it feels like it's a mixture of black and turquoise when you look at it on Eddie Amos's car. So the Welshman is tucked up behind Casola, waiting for an opportunity. Not too bad of a performance from Eddie Amos so far. At least he's in the top half of the field. Stefan Dodderer has not rejoined the race, unfortunately, so that is him effectively out of it so far. He's the only retirement of the race, but we're now on lap number 5 with Sandstrom's lead being over 1.7 seconds ahead of the rest. This is Maxim Victus, who's been overtaken by the Frenchman of Thomas Reggian, and now he's going back into, well, it's down on the inside of Reggian as they come out of turn number 2. Victor's on the outside, Reggian on the outside. They just about leave each other enough room. It's wheel to wheel all the way down to turn number 4. Reggian on the inside of Thomas Reggian, and Reggian's off.
Yeah, it says super. They only a little tap in the super Formula lights, and you go flying. You saw him actually just clip the wheel there. He has to come back there. Whether he's got damage or not is interesting, but it will pack him up into this gaggle of cars. Throw a blanket over him. They're racing like this is the final lap. We're only lap 5.
Yeah, it's all starting to pick up there. We are seeing more battles actually than I thought we would be seeing. I thought we would be seeing a little bit more of a procession just from previous experience of commentating on championships around this particular racetrack, but we were seeing a lot more of it in this race. Maxim Victus is in 11th position now because Mohamed Brulig has got ahead of him into 10th position. Brulig up 6 positions from his starting spot. We're right on board with Richard Van Veen in 24th position for the Modern Racing Prince squad. He is behind John McKenzie, who's looking to make his way through up the field. And Guyan's made up 1 position so far. We thought it'd be a lot higher than where he ended up in qualifying, but this is where he is at for today's race. Sandstrom building up the margin as ever, over 2 seconds in front now over Jakub Olszewski.
They're kicking up kitty litter all over the track too, as you can see on the camera. But here we go, as a run down into turn 1. Overtaken opportunities. Going to be last and late breakers. Going defensive on the inside is Van Hern. And will outbrake himself. Using a lot of chicane there, side by side. This is Adrian Pascari going for it too for now, alongside the Dutch driver 33.
Pascari around the outside of Van Veen into turn number 2 using an old Benetton Formula 1 livery there. I think that's the 1999 livery that he is just running there. It's a very lovely livery, it has to be said. That is Pascari on the outside, Van Veen on the left there in that white livery machine, running way too deep. He was always going to run wide considering how tight he went into the corner, and so Pascari takes advantage, and that's him through into 24th.
I was going to open up the door actually for Scott Taylor in the background as well too, to go, all right, I've just got the lessons learnt there from Adrian. Says, let's say you get an overtake done around here in Hungary, so will he be next up the hit list there and try to take it to the Dutch driver. But further up in the field there, we've got Andy Flint. That's under a little bit of attack there from Nicholas Wesman now, who is applying a bit of pressure from the Finland, and powered by a bit of Guinness as well too, as he starts another lap down the main straightaway.
Andy Flint in 4th place ahead of the Finn Nicholas Vesman as they begin lap number 7. Personal best lap of the race from the likes of Jakub Olszewski, Nicholas Vesman and Yunus Amal as they head over the line. Vesman thinking about an overtake on Andy Flint. Flint sees it, but there was no way that Vesman was going to pull that one off.
That's a dummy. Yeah, that's a dummy. Just trying to fill the mirrors full of you, make you think, make you look away from your braking markers and look at the car behind you, and then force that driver into a mistake. It's a classic psychological driving 101, and you don't. The wise drivers won't fall for that one. They'll just be focusing ahead, not focusing in the mirrors.
Clark Williams fighting out with Bahin Ayan, who has got Maxim Victus in front of him. Thomas Reggian has come into the pits, presumably for repairs, and after the battling he had with Maxim Victus, it's a very, very bad turn of events for the Frenchman, so that is really hard luck on him. Bahin Ayan having connection issues. Just ignore that for the time being. We do see that from Ayan from week to week. Hopefully that will stop in the near future, which is not good news, really. I think there is like a connection thing that iRacing have put together where if you disconnect too many times, iRacing can kick you out of the session. And to be honest with you, I don't disagree with that concept.
Thomas has had a nasty lick into the wall. The wall's come out and bit him. Let's have a look at that one, and he's towed immediately back into pit lane. Now, I think he snapped it completely on the exit. Maybe a technical issue on that one, because that car just gave away completely, and he was just a passenger straight into the fence on that one, aka towed back to pit road.
That's his race run there for Thomas Regian out of the race along with Stefan Dodro. There is a 3-car battle for 7th position. This is right on Robert Ridgway, who's got Yunus Amal in front of him. Amal taking the line into the corner. It looked like he was going to run wide there, but did very well to close, did very well to stay on the track. But now this is going to give Robert Ridgway the chance to send on up the inside into turn number 2, and Amal decides not to fight it. It wasn't worth it. Otherwise, if they started battling, they would have lost ground to the cars in front.
Yeah, and a little bit of blinking there will throw Yamasat, but he's going to come back actually right now on Robert. Say, all right, let's go. 2 for now. We're loving this motor racing here around Hungary, and they're going to go side by side around the outside again. But you see, holding defensive is Robert Ridgway. He knows that as long as you keep that car parked essentially in the middle of the road, you should be good. Force the other drivers around the outside, get them into the dirty stuff as well too, where there's a little of traction. Throw them off the racing line. Great battle.
A nice battle indeed, keeping it clean as always are Yunus Amal and Rob Ridgway fighting over honours in 8th place. 3 seconds is the margin up front between Jesper Sandström and Jakub Olszewski. Sandström taking command of the race for now. He doesn't need to push too hard. He just needs to make sure he looks after his tyres all the way to the end. It'll be good to see who can look after their tyres and who is more aggressive on them in the early stages. We won't find out until later on. It seems to be calming down towards the front. Big gaps are beginning to develop, but the closest battle we are seeing is probably between Flynn and Vestman for 4th and 5th. They have just crossed over the line. Vestman with his personal best lap of the race so far at the end of the previous lap. There is Andy Flynn running in 4th place, doing better than expected, ahead of Nicholas Vestman. And then, it's all calming down in the opening stages, and I think the drivers are in tyre management mode at this point, Dean.
I wonder if our race leader as well, Tov Jesper's just got a little bit more extra, less weight by having no paint on his car. It's either that or something didn't load in. I do apologise in advance if some of those livery packs and so forth hasn't loaded, as we're watching a fantastic battle here brewing around the 15th space there with the Japanese driver just ahead of these two. And so perhaps, we'll have to weigh his car at the end of that one, mate, and see that is a little bit lighter on the super lights.
It's a 3-car battle for 16th position. Johnny Cazorla, Mehmet Taski and Clark Williams fighting over that particular place. I think Taski's running an old Ferrari livery with the Turkish flag on the front of it by the looks of things. But Clark Williams, not too bad of a job so far. I have seen him involved in incidents in previous races, but so far he's doing everything right.
Yeah, we'll get a chance to go back and have a look at the race start, because I want to see Tony Jimenez is just bogged down as well too. But I'm going to keep eyes peeled on this one, because further back behind there you've got Lores there for the Spark Up 2 entry for the Swiss driver, the 369. You can see on the back there of Eddie Amos' Tron-esque liveries. Eddie's gone around!
Terrible shame for Eddie Amos spinning at the penultimate turn, and the Welshman has gone for a spin. He's going to have to wait for a gap in the traffic before he can rejoin safely, and he's lost at least 5 positions from making that error.
I'm just trying to find the replay here for a second. Here it is. So, has he gone out into the ripple strip? No, it's snapped a brake. Oh no, he's had to avoid the spinner ahead. So I think
that was Clark Williams.
Clark Williams.
It was Clark Williams that spun round. I jinxed him, unfortunately, which I should probably take some form of stick for. But he very nearly lost it there, and he lost it again. Yeah, I think because the rear tyres had overcooked, and that's why they just wouldn't bite into the corner the way it would normally do.
We saw it later. It gets a little overcast in certain parts of this track at the moment. Check that track temperature as well too. Again, second. It's heating up at the moment, but whether it's heating up on the track, 27 degrees Celsius for track temperature. So all dry, no chance of rain or cloudy with skies of meatballs at all with these drivers, but we are seeing Amal here on the back there of Robert. These two, once again, loving the battles that they're having at the moment. But Kitty let it kicked up under the helmet at the moment of Amal. Is going to come around the final corner now. Is he going to get a good exit? He will be very, very close up the tailpipe at the moment. It's going to be an awesome opportunity to get that slipstream. They both run wide, almost into the DRS activation. Yep. Here we go into turn 1.
Yeah, Robert Ridgway defending from Yunus Amal on the pit straight as they begin at number 11. Amal pulls out alongside Robert Ridgway into turn number 1. Ridgway leaves him room for Amal to make the corner, and Amal goes through, but Ridgway is fighting back, trying to get a strong exit out of turns 1 and 2 to give him the high ground for 3. Will he be able to do it? He gets out onto the marbles, well, and Amal takes the position for good ahead of the American. And it's sweet as you like there from the Moroccan. Yunus Amal heading through. Ridgway trying to do his best to make sure he doesn't get it done so that he's out of the woods, but he has to settle for 9th position this time. And away goes Amal.
It's not over yet, actually. And more importantly, Robert might have to be a little bit cautious there of Mohammed in the background there. So he is on the hunt there. It's actually bringing a few other players and drivers into Max as well, too, is lurking behind them. So that battle is costing him a little bit of time, of course, to Dennis Den, who's a little bit further up the road in P7.
And Denny Cornu running in at 7th position for the Unity Racing team. He's got his compatriot Ludwig Ransson ahead. Both having respectable races so far, good races in fact. And Tony Jimenez has won the opening 3 races of the season. Well, he's going to find it very tough to actually keep that one going, because Jesper Sandström has posted a new fastest up of the race. Nicely done there by the... I don't know what country he's from, actually, Sandström, because I think it almost looks like a Norwegian flag, but I don't think it is a Norwegian flag.
It's a combination of Scandinavian flags, I believe.
Yeah, I think I would agree with that too. Hence why I don't want to guess. But Sandström remaining in front ahead of Olszewski, with Tony Jimenez in 3rd position, looking very good to extend his championship lead.
Yeah, it pans out at the moment. Further up, you do have the battle of the French duo. So, yeah, our teammates here of the Unity Racing, Frenchmen. So will they be working together? Will be any multi-21, or in this case at the moment would it be a multi-67 to exchange 6th and 7th place? Or is that too soon? Too soon.
It's too soon at the moment, because otherwise they keep second guessing. It could all end in tears. Looking at Tony Jimenez's situation in this race, running in 3rd place, whereas Ferrani is unlikely to be scoring, that is going to help Jimenez in the long term, because Tusky is outside the top 10, running in 17th place, and we're going to get a replay of the race start. And I think this is where Tony Jimenez bogs down a little bit.
Yep.
I'm just looking at Olszewski, because it looked like he crept forward slightly just before the lights went red. He didn't get penalised for it.
Go back to slow it down a little bit here.
Yeah, if we have a look from the 3rd place man, I'm sure Olszewski moved before the lights went green.
Yes.
Or maybe...
Yes. Oh, that's difficult, isn't it?
It's difficult, but it's also human reactions you got to consider. Because I'm not 100% certain whether that is a human reaction to the lights going green.
It could have been, because some of the drivers caught off guard too. I think it also caught Tony off guard, because he goes to start, he moves a little bit, pauses, and then continues on. That cost him a fraction of a second, also cost him a couple of places from the start as well too, which he managed to make his way back up to the P3, but he did drop down, I believe, as far as P5 in the first lap. So yes, reaction time's catching some of the drivers off, but thankfully, as you are aware too, that you can't do those overtakes on that lap 1, so they probably also are additionally cautious, but no one completely bogged down on the start finish line. So that's the situation, as that battle's still brewing here around your P10 position.
Well, we have got a battle involved in that, but I think what's even closer is the battle between Clark Williams and Adam Talsma for 25th place. That's brewing a little bit between these two. There they are. Clark Williams, after his spin, which forced Eddie Amos to take evasive action, although that ended up in him spinning around. They are now fighting over 24th place, but Clark Williams has got Adam Talsma for company. He just pulls away from him, so we'll go back to the battle between Ranson and Cornu for 6th position. but it seems to be that the gap is stagnating as the laps continue to wind down. 5 seconds is the margin between Sundström and Ovsiewski in the battle for the lead.
So those lap times at the moment, most the front runners are doing about 32. Some of the drivers are doing late 32s. Essentially, most of the drivers are in early 33s. That's in your top 10ish area, and then the rest of the field are doing late 33s and 34s as you progress further down the field. Generally to be expected based on their qualifying time performance as well too, as equaling in race pace performance. But Jasper still with a commanding lead of 5 seconds once he got that early little couple of overtakes there with Jacob Olowski as they exchanged positions early in that one. But once, kind of my pick would have to say that Jasper in the lead of this one, once he got away with those flying times that he can consecutively do over and over again, might be a hard driver to beat on this one. It's his race to lose more than his race to win.
And it's more also the fact that Sundström hasn't raced yet this season, so we can't really call him a championship contender by any means. He's a very quick driver because I've seen him in the past, but he's missed already 3 races before he's come back this time around. Ovsiewski will be getting good points from this, but he's not in the championship fight. So it is Tony Jimenez who's without doubt going to be the biggest gainer of them all. He's going to have a handsome lead after this race. For those who are new to this particular series, as Sundström posts a new fast stop of the race, there is a couple of dropped points scores at the end of the season. There are 12 races this campaign, so it'll be the driver's best 10 results that will count towards the title. Now, if you have a couple of absent races, then that's okay, providing all the races you do compete in, you score big.
Just having a look at the battle, absolutely, you're correct. These two are going to fight it out. And there was a switcheroo, so that's Dennis now. Up into P6, go ahead.
I wonder if there was some team orders being done between the pair. I think Ranson has let Cornu go on this occasion. That was not a genuine battle between the Unity Racing guys. I think that was a planned overtake.
Unless he went off the track here, goes really wide there, yes. Unless that's deliberately, but then they're still fighting it, of course. But that is the only kind of indication that I have of that switcheroo, where they deliberately ran wide there and allowed him through, or was a mistake to run wide and allowed his teammate to go through. That's just many question marks that will remain on that one. But they have 16 laps to dictate how that situation is going to pan out later on in this race.
Well, Connor's beginning to pull away from Ranson. I think the fact that Ranson had run wide at turn 1 has turned out to be a blessing for him, because otherwise he'd have kept Cornu behind, and then Cornu would have lost time and got frustrated behind him when he could be going after Flint and Vestman, who are settling in their 4th and 5th places. Jimenez continuing in 3rd place. His run of race wins maybe going at the end of this one, the way things are developing, but he is still gaining in the championship fight, extending his margin at the top. We're not really seeing any other battles at the moment. The closest you are seeing is between Andy Flint and Nicholas Vestman, which we are right on board with Vestman in 5th position.
The Finnish driver to first finish first. You must be Finnish. There you go, Nicholas. That's for you, my friend. As he runs wide into the grass to pick up something on the kitty litter. He's going to have to lift off the gas so you can set up the 5th gear now. You don't want to approach the next corner, and you got to hit the stop pedal, and the car's just not going to agree because you've got literally no traction. But, well, he's wise enough to understand how to back off when you need to back off and pick your fights again, as he's still going to keep Andy Flint for company for the Scuderia Racing Forces entry up the road there, but not in red, Andy. Don't think the Scuderia team would be too happy if you in a different livery, but it's what it is.
Yeah, it is what it is. I mean, we've had a couple of Finns, or a few Finns, win in Hungary before. You think of Mika Hakkinen, who's won a couple of times. You've got Kimi Räikkönen, who's won, I think it was 2005 that he had won a Hungarian Grand Prix, and also Heikki Kovalainen. We can't forget him. He also won at the Hungarian. Took his only Formula 1 win at this particular racetrack.
For Max there, as you can see. Yes, good knowledge. You're a bit of a walking Wikipedia of F1, aren't you? I liked it. And no spoiler alerts, of course, if anybody... Well, I know who won the GP. You know who won the GP. You were covering it, but we won't let anybody know just in case they haven't had a chance to watch it yet, because maybe some of the drivers in here at the moment too, who aren't listening to the broadcast, haven't had a chance to watch it because they've been practicing for this race.
Well, perhaps so. So we'll leave that alone, Dean, for the time being. Max Invictus running in 11th place behind Mohammed Brolig. This is behind Ayan, behind Krish Patel in their battle over 13th position. Kuchi Ito, who we've not really spoken too much about, apart from when we were discussing the lineup on the grid. He's made up a fair number of placings from where he had started. He's made up 5 positions up to 15th. The biggest gainers from where they started on the grid, you have to say Scott Taylor has made up 11 positions from 31st to 20th. We've also got Leonard O'Sherry, who did make up 10 places from his starting place from 34th to 24th. Has just been overtaken by the Swiss Paul Distelli. But the drivers out of the race so far, we've lost Luis Albino, who is actually still going, believe it or not. But I don't think we are seeing Richard Van Veen, Scott Haddock or Manuel Vargas circulating. We might be able to find out what happened to any of those drivers, since we're not seeing a lot of action on circuit.
So who's sorry? Go repeat that again. Sorry.
So you've got Richard Van Veen and Scott Haddock, who are not currently circulating on
Scott Haddock
the track.
had a crash back earlier on lap 13. Let me quickly show that one.
This is Scott Haddock. This is into the last corner. It doesn't take up any grass there. Does he actually catch the curb on the side? No, he just lights up the rear tyres, got too greedy on the throttle and threw him into the barrier, and that's his race done.
Just wondering about Krish Patel here for the Ridgeway Racing Astronauts team. Completely, it must be absolutely baking in that car. I mean, have you ever had a black car before? Black livery, at least it absorbs all the heat, and we'll be feeling he's heating the pressure heat at the moment, of course, from the driver behind in the 89. But once again, I'm just wondering whether or not some liveries didn't manage to load him for some of these drivers. But we'll see how it pans out. At the moment, he's not looking at his car, he's looking at the other cars around him, trying to defend this position.
We're on lap number 18. This is Krish Patel in 13th positions. We're right on board with him at the rear wing angle. We've got Bahindin Ayan in 14th, chasing after him. There are big gaps towards the front where the drivers are over 6 seconds. Sandstrom has been able to build on Novoselsky. He did post a new fast stop of the race last time around, did Jesper Sandstrom, continuing to show why he is such a fast driver in this series, in this particular machine. And it's been a phenomenal race so far from Jakub Novoselsky. No mistakes from him so far, and neither really from Tony Jimenez, apart from the fact that he got bopped down a little bit at the beginning.
You see how difficult it is. I mean, so it's fantastic when you're driving T-Cam, of course, so you get to see everything up here. But as a driver, look at that. Your helmet's all got a bit of grit and dust and all that sort of stuff all over it there. You've got your halo in the way. Most drivers have elected to make that disappear, because unless you're driving in VR, it is very, very difficult. But in real life, of course, it's a lot easier to turn your head and peer at those cars up there. But still, your visibility is pretty limited. As you can see, low down in the cockpit, you have the super formulas, and on top of it, you get that bright big ball of helium, aka the sun, that kind of gives you a little bit of blinding as well.
Austin Baldwin has found himself back in the pit lane, because we understand he has been involved in an incident somewhere, and we are seeing Austin Baldwin behind the pit wall. It looks like he is out of the race. We'll find out why that is. He's going through turn 6 and 7, and that's a big shunt into the Armco, and it's no wonder he's stopped circulating. Right on board with him. Yeah, he just took too much curve. He lit up the rear tyres, and the front left is bodged, and that is his race run.
He hit the sausage curve, and these are light cars, no doubt, there, and just no traction there. Just lifts it off there. And the four sticky points of contact do not contact anywhere, and the car just goes flying into the fence. Big battle at the moment there for Kotiji, I think it is, up the road there, our sole Japanese driver. I'd like to see more Japanese drivers involved in some of these leagues. It's fantastic. Of course, he's running at similar times to me, I would imagine, probably give or take around 6 a.m. in the morning. Gets up early. Goes to show you the commitment for some of these drivers to do that as well.
They're like 7 or 8 hours ahead of where I am, so it'll be the early hours of Monday morning, Dean. over in Japan, whereabouts he is. Although it may not be in Japan, it may be over in another country. Who knows?
That's true.
But Johnny Casola is going for it on Ito into turn number 1. Ito leaves the door open on the inside, and that's enough for Casola to just slot his way through. And Kuji Ito sensibly, I think, allowed him to go through. It doesn't want to be backing him within too much, I don't think. Otherwise, that could allow the likes of Krish Patel and Mohamed Taski to close in.
Eddie Amos gets past Clark Williams, I think, in a pretty easy overtaken opportunity. John McKenzie's gone into pit road. Or, no, he's not. He's actually gone into a fence somewhere and he's crashed. That'll explain why I saw a drop there. There's a snap of an oversteer coming out of the corner from John McKenzie. Let's have a look at the Scott coming into turn 1. As he locked it up. No, he's just gone straight on. That's... You notice that there was a little bit of a movement before that happened. I might have to rewind it up. Rewind it back and go back into the cockpit. Because, so I don't like to rewind very often, but it's, yeah, see that snap there on the straight? Now you're going straight. Why would you be turning it like that? I think he's got some sort of technical issue. Season 6 gear. Go ahead.
It's either a technical issue or the rear suspension has just given way. Yeah, you can see the car just didn't want to turn in there. So I think that looked more like a rear suspension failure for John McKenzie, which is a terrible, terrible shame.
Good catch on that one. Thank you very much, Tom. As that battle still brewing further back here, as you said, it was going to be putting into the clutches here of Krish Patel from the Ridgeway Racing Astronauts, inspiring to be. I like that. Just fits in that name here. Is he going to make a run to turn 1? Last late breakers. Got to make it stick. I think he will, and that's up at the P15.
Yeah, that was good, I would say. That's 2 laps in a row that Kuji Ito has lost a position at turn number 1. Next car behind him is Mohamed Taski, who is looking to make his move. There's a car running wide. I think that's one of the back markers. It's just getting out of the way there. So that's that problem sorted out for now. We are going back to Luca Ferrari. If you remember, he had to pit in for repairs after contact with Simon Fessi on the second lap. He's about to go through on the inside of Adam Talsma for P27. There are 10 laps to go, so I wonder how many more overtakes Ferrari can do just to help limit the damage. After he gets by Nguyen, if he does, I think he's got something like 9 seconds to make up on the next car afterwards, which is Leonard O'Sherry. So 26th could be the highest or the maximum that Ferrari gets out of this.
Just having a look at his lap times as well too. He's doing 33s. And some of the drivers up the road ahead of him are doing 35s and 34s. So perhaps he can damage limitation. Seeing this battle at the moment. These drivers are up the road from him actually. Clark Williams and Eddie Amos. Has a battle for P21. That's how far we're going down the field here to spot some of these close battles, my friend, because there's not a lot of action happening at the top of the timesheets.
We saw a lot of battles in the opening stages, but I think once the gaps had begun to develop, I think that's part of the reason why we're not seeing so many. But this is the best battle on track for the time being, Dean, so we may as well stay with this one. Ferrari's actually behind Nguyen, so we could go to that one now, because that's like
not for long.
There goes Ferrari. Well, Ferrari on the inside of Nguyen, and Nguyen just had to let him go there because he knows that Ferrari is going a lot quicker, and he doesn't want to take too much out of his tyres in the closing stages.
Yeah, Ferrari, of course, need damage limitation for championship points too, which is right up there at the business end of this championship, as we're going to continue back to look at this battle there, Clark Williams and Eddie Amos. Yeah, this is the time right now that we get the artificial sprinklers to pop up and just spray the track down with a little bit of wet water, of course, and really throw a spanner in the mix in this race.
Wouldn't we just love it? Throw another spice into the mix. Why not? Sundstrom he's gone into management mode now because he knows he doesn't need to be going at full pelt and continuing all these fastest laps. He has got a 6-second lead, so he could just take it easy and just bring the car home and not do anything too silly. But he knows what he needs to be doing. He's a very quick driver. He's been in this situation before in the past with these cars. He doesn't need to be taking any more risks here. But this is Clark Williams behind Eddie Amos for 21st position, and Clark Williams will just want to try and make a move as soon as he can. Over 5 seconds up the road from these two is Adrian Pescari, who is gone. Yeah.
Yeah, just switching over to our race leader, because now they're approaching the back markers for traffic, so he will be coming up to the P37th place driver at the moment. And also want to see if the blue flags are going to come into place. That's one thing that Jasper does not want to have difficulty to with that comfortable lead he has at almost 6 seconds. But of course, if anything happens with these back markers, he will perhaps that lead will be cut into, and Jacob's going to be aware of that. But Jacob also will have to slice and dice his way past those back markers as well.
He's a lot further away there, is Jakub Olszewski, so I don't think he'll probably have to contend with the back markers. So actually, they look like they're in a fight of their own, although one of them is they're in a battle. So this is where Sandstrom needs to be very careful here. Doesn't take too many risks. Now the back markers will be aware he's coming through. They're both getting out of the way actually, so that's that problem sorted out. Yeah,
very clever. And that's the only thing you are a little bit cautious, aren't you? If you're leading a race, or you're certainly up the front of a race, and then you got some drivers that are in their own battle. Fair for them to be battling as well too, because they're always just squabbling for points. But then you don't want to get involved in that. If they come together, you want to make sure that you're not anywhere near that, because that's just essentially your race win done and dusted, isn't it, at that point? But further back, we do have old Nicholas on the back there, Andy Flint, so that battle might continue as well. Dennis is down the road by 2.5 seconds, so that car that you see in the background there is not in this fight currently at the moment for P4.
No. Seeing more back markers just stay on the way by the looks of it, unless they're just trying to get off the line, so they're not giving the tow to the car behind. And it is continuing to calm down. Sean Pulsifer has been in the wars somewhere, although he is still circulating at the back of the field. Lewis Albino, we understand, is still circulating, as is Austin Baldwin. He's come back out onto the circuit, but Chris Vales is out of the race. We lost on that number 21. This is going to be the reason why. Is he going to catch the grass on the outside?
Yes. Oh. Keeps it out of the fence, just there for the Williams livery entry, but it's towed. It's a complete tow. Didn't want to drive that one back.
No, and I think that's probably the right thing to do for Chris Vales. I don't know whether he just took too much and just scorched the tyres of his, but that's him out of the race effectively. Battle raging between Matthew Gracie and Elliot Yingling. That is for 30th position. They just continue to swap places, those two. They're nearly a lap down on the leader, unless they're already a lap down, from what I can see. No, they're not already a lap down, are those two. So they'll hope to stay on the lead lap, just in case anything crops up on the final lap of the race. But this is the closest battle we have seen on screen now, Dean, with Eddie Amos and Clark Williams for 21st position. I never thought I'd be saying that, but after all, it is the Hungaroring. As predicted, I didn't think that we're going to be seeing a lot of overtaking anyway.
Whilst the sponsor would be getting on the horn of the driver going, just slow down a little bit, back yourself into another car, that way you're going to get all the screen time, aka advertising time, just for shits and giggles, shall we say. But that is, as you mentioned, a close battle. Scott Taylor on the back there of... I can't pronounce his name. Loris there for the Swiss driver, but that's Battle 18. You can go ahead with that one. You're good with names.
Yeah. Loris Baylor it is. Loris Baylor ahead of Scott Taylor, who's continuing his good race so far. 12 positions up from his starting spot in the number 46 racing for the Ridgeway Racing by Raven team. And further up in front, this is Mehmet Taski with Kuji Ito, who looks like his tyres have really fallen off the cliff. In fact, he's just allowed him to go through. Ito is really struggling.
Yeah, he has, hasn't he? Just dropped them on a couple of places. We saw that in a couple of laps earlier as well too. But bringing it home for points is the crucial part, with 5 laps or so remaining on this one. Well, there is Amal. So once again, these are all Unity Racing entrants as well too. So up the road, he's got the 2 French drivers. So they are, I think this is a Moroccan driver, if I believe, actually, of Amal.
Yes.
Yes.
Correct, yeah. It's Yunus Amal who's behind the 2 Frenchmen of Cornu and Ranson for 6th.
Yep, and they're all the same team as well too, so the Unity Racing entrants 6th, 7th and 8th currently at the moment.
Well, they're doing fine races so far, enhancing their points totals for the season. I will remind you, the next round we go to after this will be, if I can get the calendar up, it's at the Motegi circuit in Japan.
Yes.
Kuji Ito, one in particular, will be looking forward to that.
Absolutely, get the home fan. And, the Japanese are absolutely fanatic when it comes to motorsports, so he'll hear that cheering grandstands going for him. That'd be a nice boost for him after what, well, you wouldn't say it's not the worst race. He's still up 3 positions from where he started it, but it's P17. He probably would have been wondering a little bit more on tyre management per se, if that has been a struggle. Patel.
He's got over 3 seconds in. Yeah, I was going to say for Kuchito, he's got over 3 seconds in hand on Loris Baylor, who is in a fight of his own with Scott Taylor. So that could give Ito the buffer he needs between now and the Czech flag. We're into the closing stages of the race. We've got 4 laps to go for the race there. Jesper Sandström, he has lost 9/10 the last I saw from him, but he's got more than enough of a gap anyway. He can just take it easy from here until the final stages. Amel is still tucked up behind Ludwig Ransson for position. He has taken over a 10th out of the margin of his. I wonder if Amel is able to save his tyres more than what Ransson has been able to do during the course of this race. We'll go back to that battle very, very shortly, Dean, because it looks like Amel is getting closer and closer all the time.
I was going to say the Vanta Black, that's what that car reminds me of, like that absorbs, 99.9% of all lights into it. Wouldn't that be fantastic? This track goes completely dark. You would not see that car in the headlights, but actually, Denten and Vesman. So, are we getting team orders at play here?
Well, we'll see, but Vesman is ahead of Cornu. I'm surprised, actually, because I wonder if Vesman lost time on the previous lap, because they weren't really that close, these two, before they are close together. Well, it won't be last lap, but he's lost time as Vesman. So, yeah. Oh, yes, he did. Yeah, he made a mistake. He made a mistake on the exit of turn 2, and that's why Cornu is a lot closer.
That would make sense, actually, because I was wondering why, They're not teammates, of course. The teammates are behind him at the moment. Vesman's on his own with the Guinness entry. As you can see, number 95 up the road, the dying stage of this race. Yeah, exactly. Who's saved that little bit? It's time to attack now. Attacking the time sheets is Jasper, setting a statement, going, I am going to be the quickest. I'm going to get the trifecta. I'm going to get the pole, the race win, and the fastest lap. So he's going to do everything he can. But at the moment, what can Dennis do? It's a steel P5.
Well, if he can go for it on Vesman into turn 1, which he's about to do, he does the dummy into the right-hander, but Vesman is able to read it and not be deterred by that, and he keeps hold of 5th position for the time being.
Well, you got to wait till the best things come to those who wait, and they are for some of these drivers that are waiting to mount their attacks right now here. Dying stage of this race, about 3 to go. Should to be 2 to go soon, as our race leaders are way up the road from this battles brewing here for the Super Formula Lights. Thank you all for tuning in. Make sure you like and subscribe and support this fantastic racing league. It's been around for donkey's years and will remain around for many years to come. Generations of young drivers coming through the field as well too. So I'm looking forward to that in the future.
I'm very much looking forward to that as well. Lots and lots of talent coming through and enjoying life in the iRacing world. Denny Cornu in 6th place behind Nicholas Vesman, but he wants more than that. If he can make up more places, he's already made up 4 positions from 10th to 6th. Now he's looking to make that 5 should he get past Nicholas Vesman, who we've not really seen too much of, but he has dropped off away from Andy Flint, who's looking very good for 4th position. There's no one to battle in front, and there's no one to battle behind. For Vesman, it's a totally different story. Denny Cornu on the tail as we look at Johnny Cazorla, who's got Bahidin Ayan for 13th. This battle is brewing in the final laps. We've got 2 more tours to go in the race. Johnny Cazorla on the curb. Very, 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 very nearly losing it, but gathered it on. He had to lift off the throttle, otherwise it'd have been going for a spin like a ballerina.
There was a heart-throat moment for sure for the Spaniard, but still didn't lose too much time. Still about half a second down there, but that attack, he's going to have to do it again for another lap. But I would just be happy to say, well, because you've seen how quickly these cars, when they do snap, that fence comes out and bites you hard. Even though there's a bit of runoff area, most of the time, they're spinning in the opposite lock and they're spinning in a non-runoff area. It's a nice little battle brewing here. Scott Taylor there. And Lewis around the outside. 2 Super Formulas go around the outside. Who will get the lead?
Yeah, well, it's Taylor who's been in front of Loris Baylor for 18th position. Connection issues. Yeah, he just blinks for a moment, but he's kept hold of the place for good. Has Scott Taylor. He's through at last, but we'll go back to Vesman and Cornu as they tussle over 5th position. 1 more tour to go for these 2. The next time they cross over the line, Jesper Sandström has started the final lap of the race, or at least he will do in a second. But we'll stay with this battle between Vesman and Cornu. And this is That is Simon Fessi, who
Yeah.
we've hardly spoken about since he's coming together with Luca Ferrari on the second lap. He's going for it on Adrian Pescari for 20th place, and that's a very, very nice overtake there from Simon Fessi to get through in the Unity Racing car. What about Cornu, though? His compatriot, can he send one up the inside of Nicholas Vesman into turn one? He's going for it. Vesman, long way ahead, but is he able to hold on? He very nearly drops it on the curve, and that should be the invitation that Denny Cornu needs as he goes through into fifth position, wheel to wheel, into the left-hander, but Cornu is done enough to make his way through. Vesman spins around in frustration, and that's him gone.
Wow. Yeah, there was a little bit of frustration creeping in. He turned in as well, turned out realizing that the car's there, but he should clearly have seen him. And you don't want to be throwing it away on the penultimate lap of the race there. I would have continued. You would have dropped a couple of places down. There is a bit of a gap, 5-6 seconds, of course, for some of those drivers. But you might come back and that might bite you in the championship at the end there going, I'm going to miss out by a couple of points. You'll look back at a race like this going, I know, it's frustrating, but you've got to keep a calm head sometimes because you've got to think of the overall picture, a.k.a. championship.
I think he went back into the pit lane so that he didn't remain in the middle of the road, Dean. That would be my reason why he's done that. We'll go to the race leader. Jesper Sandström is coming round the last corner now. Jesper Sandström from pole position has dominated since he got by Jakub Olszewski on the second lap. He takes victory here at the Hungaroring. His first win of the campaign, ending Tony Jimenez's run of race wins. Jakub Olszewski, after a spirited performance, comes home in second place. And it's Tony Jimenez who extends his championship lead in third, ahead of Andy Flynn. Denny Cornu got by Nicholas Vesman, the last lap to take fifth place. Yunus Amal, his Unity Racing teammate, in sixth place, followed by Ludwig Ranson in seventh. Rob Widray has crossed over the line in eighth place. Mohamed Bralig is over the line in ninth. And it is Max Invictus rounding out the top 10, just ahead of Andrei Vazkovsky. A brilliant race, Dean. A super, super job from Jesper Sandström from start to finish.
He's so super, he's already jumped out of the car there and has gone down to spray the bubbly stuff and celebrate with his team. And a brilliant drive there for the Scandinavian. Absolutely here at Hungary, as we're still waiting for a few more drivers to come across the line. But I don't. Yeah, it's not like the oval racing is in the United States where they start doing burnouts. And this one, just jumps out and straight up into the podium.
Luca Ferrari's just crawling up behind Leonard O'Sherry for 24th position. They're coming around the last corner now, those two, I believe, unless they cross over the line. They've just crossed the line. Leonard O'Sherry staying in front of Luca Ferrari. Luca Ferrari, who came into this round second in the championship, ended up in 25th place following his contact with Simon Fessi on the second lap. That's a body blow to his hopes in the championship. But he may use this round as one of his drop scores for later in the season.
Yeah, exactly. For Luca after that first incident, isn't it? We'll go back and show that real quickly. Just a what-if situation to Luca. And that's when he was essentially... They're going to be looking at this one, aren't they? Because that, well, it's a dive bomb, isn't it? Have a look at this. Have a look at this car to the right, just coming in on 1,000,000 miles an hour to make a corner that you just cannot make. And that's what forced Luca down to finish the race currently in 25th place.
Yeah, he was focusing more on the car they got by before he made contact with Ferrari. Well, it was Simon Fessi. It's Fessi who came up the inside, wasn't it? Yeah, so Fessi was just coming through past, I think it was Andy Flynn that he got by to begin with, and then he just collected Luca Ferrari on the apex.
Bang. Yeah. That's a my bad moment from Fessi for sure. Have to be,
yeah, he'll take responsibility for that. Yeah, that'll be Fessi picking up some form of punishment, I'd have thought. Let's run down on today's race result, Dean. Jesper Sandström taking victory ahead of Jakub Olszewski, with Tony Jimenez in third place ahead of Andy Flynn. Denny Cornu, Yunus Emel and Ludwig Ranson in 5th, 6th and 7th for Unity Racing, followed by Rob Ridgway, Mohamed Bralig and Maxim Vincent rounding out the top 10. Andrei Vazkovsky and Johnny Casola are next, followed by Bahin Ayan and Chris Patel. Mehmet Taski and Kuchi Ito are 15th and 16th, ahead of Scott Taylor, Loris Baylor. Simon Fessi recovering to 19th, ahead of Eddie Amos. Adrian Pescari and Clark Williams are 21st and 22nd, followed by Paul Distelli and Leonard O'Sherry. Luca Ferrari to 25th place after being at the back. Adam Talsma in 26th, followed by Nguyen. Dorian Arroyo is in 20th, followed by Matthew Grayson, Elliot Yingling. Oscar Artenorio in 31st, ahead of Harry Saston. Mike Ulch. Nicholas Vesman pulled out on the last lap of the race. He'll probably still pick up points. Austin Baldwin made it to the end, unlike Liz Albino. Sheldon Pulsford, Chris Bales, John McKenzie, Richard Van Veen, Scott Haddock, Manuel Vargas, Thomas Regian, and Stefan Dodderer were the rest of those to not finish today's race. That is the result, and that will most certainly help Tony Jimenez in the long run. We're just looking at Luca Ferrani by the looks of it, just some bits from the race itself. But your final thoughts on today's race, Dean? How have you found today's racing?
Well, I mean, a few surprises that you saw early. Some fantastic overtaking opportunities, and a difficult place to overtake, as you're aware of. But that is Hungary, isn't it? And that's what produces. And of course, coming up on our calendar, we go to, as you said, Hapon, Japan, April the 20th there. Then we go back over to Germany, down to my neck of the woods of Phillip Island, back to Germany for the Nuremberg, over to France, over your neck of the woods up there in Silverstone, back to Australia, of course, for Bathurst. Gotta love that one. The mountain conquers all, or you conquer the mountain. Spa. I mean, this list, of course, and it's Formula giving on June the 15th. There, Tom.
A lovely set of circuits for the iGPFun Super Formula Lights to go to throughout the season. We are a third of the way through the championship, 4 rounds down, 8 to go. The next one being in Motegi in Japan in a week's time. Dean, thank you so much for joining me in the commentary position, and thank you to the drivers for competing tonight, and well done to Jesper Sundström on his first win of the campaign. Time to wrap it up. We'll do it all again in Motegi in Japan in a week's time. I'm Tom Cairns, he's Dean Biggles, and we'll speak to you again soon when the iGPFun Super Formula Lights League returns.